We'll go ahead and call tonight's regular city council meeting to order. And for tonight's invocation, we have Pastor Ken Manning of the Taylorville Christian Church. Pastor.
Let's bow our heads. Father, I thank you for the privilege of serving you. And I thank you for these men and women who serve our community. We ask that you please guide and direct their thoughts and decisions tonight, that they'll be in the best interest of our citizens and of our community, and will bring you praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Larry Budd.
Here.
Sean Burrow.
Here.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Here.
Rob Heberly.
Here.
Bruce Jones. Ray Coontz.
Here.
Martin Voda.
Here.
Earl Walters.
Here.
7 aldermen present, 1 absent. First thing we have is a motion to utilize the omnibus vote for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting listed on tonight's agenda under the title Omnibus Vote Designation. Alderman Dorchenez, second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment? Roll call.
Sean Burrow.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heberly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Budd.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, the minutes we will be approving will be the minutes of the regular meeting held January 5th, 2015. Minutes of the Emergency Services Committee meeting held January 7th, 2015. Minutes of the Personnel Committee meeting held January 7th, 2015. Minutes of the Lake Airport Committee meeting held January 8th, 2015. Minutes of the Water Environmental Committee meeting held January 8th, 2015. Minutes of the Ordinance Committee meeting held January 15th, 2015. And minutes of the Finance Committee meeting held January 15th, 2015. I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Alderman Bertle, second by Alderman Heberly. Discussion or comment? Roll call.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heberly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Budd.
Yes.
Sean Burrow.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Brings us to city attorney updates.
Gentlemen, let me bring we've already talked a couple of things in the Finance Committee, but I want to talk about 2 subjects that is coming up tonight for a vote. One is, which is your rescue truck, the 2006 rescue trucks. Let me point out something to you, and I say this and trying to protect the city. So I understand the Fire Protection District bought this rescue truck, and it's going to be leased to the city as it does in years past, and it's been the practice. But unfortunately, the lease agreement has not yet been signed, and even though it was delivered back in December. So what we want to be sure that the city has an insurable interest, either by owning it or leasing it, so that the insurance contract that you have would protect you in the event of any liability. And I've talked to the insurance company today, so they kind of share my opinion on this, which means that until you acquire that leasehold interest, you really shouldn't be using that vehicle. Unfortunately, the Taylorville Fire Protection District only meets quarterly, and their next meeting's not until March 11th, which puts a hardship on the city because you need the vehicle. And so what I think we've been able to accomplish here, we've contacted the 3 trustees, 2 of which have already been in today to sign the lease agreement. The third one is to be, we'll sign it, just a matter of getting that person in. And then hopefully that'll be done tomorrow. Then the mayor and the city clerk can sign the lease agreement, that you can then begin using this vehicle at your next council meeting. Ratify the action of the mayor on the lease agreement with the resolution. And the Fire Protection District is going to, I think, do the same thing in March. But I think in the future we need to be looking at this so we get all these documents done ahead of time before we start using this equipment. And I know I've spoken briefly with the assistant fire chief and with the fire chief out here briefly. They're doing what has been done in the past. I'm just suggesting that we need to change that a little bit just to make sure that we don't have problems in the future. We all take risk in life. But what I would be concerned of, if they used the truck and they got out here and ran into an accident that a heart surgeon was in, and you got a $1 million lawsuit involved, insurance companies may look for a way to get out of covering that responsibility if, in fact, you didn't have an insurable interest. Now, will your local folks support you? Probably so. Will the insurance company probably say, well, we'll go ahead and cover it? Maybe because of all the premium you pay, but the higher the exposure to the company is, the more that their underwriters in another state looking at this may say, let's not cover this because they didn't have insurable interest. That's why I'm trying to be careful about this. So I think we're going to get it corrected in short order, but I think for a day or two, the vehicle may sit still until we get that all in place, just to run that other thing. The other item that you got coming up tonight is a motion to sell the old Squad 1, your 1998 International, and there's a motion on the floor there. You folk, the city itself only owns a half interest in that vehicle. The Fire Protection District owns the other half. So what I would ask, when that motion comes up tonight, it would be to direct me to prepare the documents to authorize that sale, so that after the Fire Protection District meets on their March 11th meeting, I have no reason to believe they won't okay it. Then they give their consent, and you can come back on the meeting after that, and we actually adopt the ordinance and put it in place. If you think there's a need to sell that sooner, we can ask the Fire Protection District to hold a special meeting. But in talking with the Assistant Fire Chief, I don't think there's that urgency to do that if we can wait 6 to 8 weeks. So, does anyone have any questions about those two issues? Okay. And I think the Fire Chief now and Assistant Fire Chief are okay with what we talked about here. The other thing is that you folks got, the city got notified of a class action lawsuit for municipal derivatives. We weren't sure why we got it, but I brought it to the attention of the village treasurer and the village clerk. They checked with Brett Mason, who did some research on it, and come to find out that apparently this federal court sent it out to almost all municipalities, and Brett Mason has done research and has come back and reported to both the village treasurer and village clerk that we did not buy any municipal derivatives as an investment, so there was no paperwork filed, so you know that, but they did due diligence, they did check it out. So I think with that, I think I'll keep still.
Any questions for the city attorney?
I've sent you folks a lot of emails on other issues that you've seen, so if there's any questions about any of the emails that I've sent out on legal questions that you have posed to me, either through the mayor or the clerk, contact me individually. I'd be happy to answer your questions.
Any other questions?
You
All
got
right.
the look in your eye. What's your question?
Well, when you direct me to contact me at my leisure whenever I need to, is that a free call?
No, it's not.
Okay.
For the record, it's not. Okay, thank you.
Each alderman pays for his own call.
I encourage you to call me often, too. How's that?
Thank you.
Sure. All right, moving on to mayor updates, and I really have nothing. Again, if you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask me, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll just keep moving and go into committee reports. Discussions or motions to approve, adopt, and/or deny, and/or table, and/or amend, and/or refer to an appropriate committee in whole or in part the matters regarding the following subject matters discussed at the committee level. We go to Emergency Services Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to reword the first motion that came out of the committee meeting to direct the city attorney to draft document to sell Squad 1, a 1998 International, by sealed bid with the stipulation that the city has right to reject any and all bids.
Okay.
With that form of motion.
Got that motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Alderman Koontz, discussion or comment? Hearing none, roll call.
Rob Heatherly?
Yes.
Ray Coons?
Yes.
Martin Voda?
Yes.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
yes,
Motion passes 7-0.
The last motion in that committee meeting was a motion to allow Fire Chief Cruz to host an IFSI training class at the Taylorville Fire Station at a cost of $5,950, with the funds for military personnel being reimbursed if received. I'd like to make that form of motion.
Okay, get a second on that one.
Second.
Alderman Heberlin, discussion or comment? Roll call.
Ray Coons?
Yes.
Martin Voda?
Yes.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
yes,
Rob Heatherly?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to Personnel Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a motion to accept the proposed non-bargaining salaries as written with the correction to remove the police lieutenant section. Offer that as a motion with the comment.
Okay. Take that motion in a second before we can discuss.
Second with comment.
Alderman Koontz, Alderman Heberlin, go ahead with your comment first.
As part of the record, Clerk Peabody is also going to include within that motion a list of the salaries of each of the different individuals in the non-bargaining group.
And I think that's very important, especially when we start looking back over the years, when you're trying to track a history in a certain position or something like that. If it's not listed there in the minutes, you can spend hours trying to research and dig it up. So that's a great idea. Alderman Koontz.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to thank the chairman and the HR director and everybody involved in putting this all together. We had a lengthy discussion over this. I didn't get everything the way I wanted it, but you never usually do, so you have to compromise. So even though it's not how I would want 100%, I will be voting yes for it.
Thank you. Anyone else before we vote? Alderman Voda.
Thank you, Your Honor. To repeat what Alderman Koontz stated, is we did have lengthy discussions on this, and it was, I can't remember how many hours Mr. Heberling stated, but
6 hours and 58 minutes.
thank you for that bit of information. I knew there was some trivia in there. I'm not going to debate this. I just want to go ahead and reiterate what I had stated in some of the meetings. A lot of concerns we have is the perception of what our constituents are going to look at is we don't not want to give anybody a pay raise. I think everybody, especially all of our superintendents and chiefs, they more than deserve what we can afford to give them. We have to keep in mind, though, people are looking at double water rates over the next 3.5, 4 years. Increase in sewer rates is coming. Increase in Ameren utility rates. We have to be careful with what the perception is that we have a lot of money because we are very tight on our funding. I have no problem with bumps in salary. I think the ones that have been placed in effect in this proposal, I think they're well deserved. I think we can do that. The budget's going to allow for it, even though we're going a little bit over what the budgeted numbers were to be able to fill everything that's in place here. It's minimal. The problem I did have with the bumps is I didn't agree with a bump and then given a salary increase percentage-wise on top of the bump. I think that was perceived by, I know, a couple of the superintendents I've talked to as because I can't choose a better word, a slap in the face. It's kind of like you get a bump and a pay raise. The percentage pay raises, I think they're fair with the economy we're in. I have, again, some issues with one other thing, and that's the bonus. Nothing against Mr. Spiegel. Mr. Spiegel's probably one of the best you can have in the position he fills, and I'd hate to see him pursue another offer somewhere. I think we got one of the best people who fill that position. So the issue I run into with the bonus, even though this is a minor bonus, is now we have to be careful on how we pick and choose how a bonus is deployed. We had Superintendent Wiseman monitored a $10 million program of sewer separation, and over that multi-year, 4 years, is that correct? We not once brought up the idea of potential bonus for the extra hours and time that he put in and the information he brought to the table. So the bonus issue, it can really hurt us if we don't use this properly. Don't want to set a precedence with that either. And with that, I just wanted to make sure that my concerns, my thoughts were on the table, and that we'll just see how the vote goes. Thank you.
Alderman Bud.
Well, at committee, I voiced concern with this, especially with 2 employees. And I said at the committee that I would not be supporting this, and my vote has not changed. I will not go in and hash out what was discussed that night, but I have not changed from at that committee meeting. My vote will still be no, and it's nothing against the other employees. I have concern on a couple areas.
Alderman Burl.
I got about the same sentiment Larry has. There's 3 items on this that I didn't necessarily agree with, and part of that was my fault because I missed the initial meeting, personnel meeting that they started to discuss this. So I came in kind of late to the argument, so I apologize for that. But I do agree that all the superintendents did a fantastic job, chiefs included, and I think that they're all deserving of a raise. So although I'm voting no, I'm voting yes on the pay increases. I just think that there's a couple on there I don't necessarily agree with, and there's another item on there I don't necessarily agree with. So I'm voting no, but I agree with the pay increases.
Anyone else before we vote? Roll call, please.
Martin Voda.
No.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
No.
Sean Bertle.
No.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherling.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3. Excuse me, again, there was two employees that wanted to talk, so what's that?
Motion open the floor?
Yeah, okay, and again, I don't know if we can, now that we've done this, I don't know if we can undo it. I don't know if what they have to say would change anybody's mind, but I think we owe it from the hearing. So, the motion to open the floor?
Yes.
Get a second on that?
Second.
Alderman Voda. Roll call, please.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherling.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Anyone of the employees that wanted to address the council, please stand and.
Yeah, since it's already been voted on, I guess it really doesn't matter what I say, but I would like to say that, without some type of evaluation process, it doesn't perceive to be fair to me when there's different amounts, when there's no way to gauge what amount you're giving. You're looking at other people's, or other towns, what they're paying their employees, which is okay, I get that, and there's a larger separation from my job and the chief's job, and I get that, I don't have a problem with that. The way it's structured, the way it's set now, I will not get better than a 1% raise for at least 4 years to get that separation achieved that is, agreed upon between the two departments. So, if that's what, it's already a done deal, so I guess I'm voicing my concerns on deputies because we're doing nothing else to be done about it. And I would like, if you have any questions about what I do, because I'm sure most of you don't understand the job descriptions between the different levels. Some may have a good handle on that, some don't. So sometimes we have to talk to you about it, and what we do during a weeks of time. And you said it's both already done, and there's nothing else I can do about it.
Thank you. Mr. Heil, did you want to say that?
Well, with all due respect, pretty much the same as we said, should have been above board and equal. If you're gonna look at positions, and I talked to many people, positions turn to people, but we all can get a chance to come to the table and say, this is what we do, this is what we've done, these are our responsibilities, these are our liabilities, this point is creating liabilities, and how we need to do business in the city. So, like Andy said, we voted on it, they let us talk versus not us talking, back to, perfect.
Sure. Again, that was an oversight. I would ask any alderman, would those statements have changed your vote tonight? That way we know at least. I didn't think so. Again, I think it's very important, and I'll just quickly make this statement. What we looked at this time was a cost of living raise. Again, that's why personalities. We looked at the positions and what should be paid for those positions. We weren't doing an evaluation to see how each one of you did. You all did good, or you wouldn't be here. That's the bottom line. That's where we are today. Then you get into, well, did someone do such a spectacular job that for some reason they did much more than we expect them to do based on our pay? Then you might get into the question of whether someone deserves a bonus or not. We didn't go there in most cases. The other thing we did was, in comparing to other cities, when we saw that someone was way below or way above or something like that, that's something we recognized and we tried to address. And that's what we've done today, is trying to address, and that's what those bumps were. So, I still think that's the appropriate way. I've asked anyone if they've got a better way of taking care of that solution based on the parameters we had to operate in, and so far no one has turned anything into me. So I'm still willing to look at that in the future, and that kind of, I hope, explains a little bit about what we did tonight. Let's move on to Lake Airport Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll go ahead and follow up with what happened this evening, as there was nothing that came out in the way of action items from the Lake and Airport Committee last week. This evening, we did have a meeting called to order prior to the City Council meeting related to silt dam dredging, and a motion was made by Alderman Walters, second by Alderman Bud, to recommend to the City Council to direct the mayor to write a letter to the USDA NRCS Illinois State Office for the city to apply for both assessments of the PL 566 dams, which include the locust structure and the South Fork structure. I'd like to place that in the form of a motion to the council, Your Honor.
Okay. Second that, Your Honor.
Second by Alderman Walters. Additional discussion or comments? Roll call, please.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Then with that, Your Honor, I'd like to go ahead and, I know, we
Let's
hold
wait,
off till
hold the
next.
minutes,
Okay.
please. Yes.
We'll do those at the
Yeah, we'll
next
have
meeting.
complete minutes by then.
All right, thank you.
Move on to Water Environmental Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was one motion that came out of the Water Environmental Committee meeting. There was a motion to increase the Kincaid water rate to $3.96 per 1,000 gallons. It's the maximum allowable rate. I'd like to make that in form of a motion.
Okay, got a second on that? Second by Alderman Voda. Discussion or comment? Roll call, please.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to Finance Committee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Out of the finance, we had several motions. Motion to retain Ted Bailey of Bailey Energy as the city's energy broker, to authorize him to monitor the electric rates and the time he deems appropriate to lock in the rate for a 3-year period, and direct the mayor to sign the associated contracts. Make that informed motion.
Second.
Okay, second by Alderman Bertle.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak to that, please?
Yes,
And I didn't get a
please.
chance to speak with you, Alderman, before the council meeting, but I've looked at that direct, you have a contract with Direct Energy, and as I understand what the, reading the minutes, you know that the contract with Direct Energy doesn't expire until November of this year.
That's correct.
So you have to buy all your electricity through them until that point. What I understood the motion to be is that after that date, you still want this gentleman, who's is in the process of forming his own company, to be the city broker, to try to get a locked-in rate for 3 years to commence effective after the termination of the Direct Energy contract.
That's correct.
Which may be Direct Energy, as it turns out. And that his compensation would be paid by the company that's going to be selling you the electricity, as it is now in your present contract.
That's correct.
So with that, I would ask that you amend your motion to read, after you get off here, where it says to lock in the rate for a 3-year period, if we may say, effective after November 2015, provided Bailey Energy is paid by the entity providing the electricity and subject to an acceptable contract with Bailey in a form approved by the mayor. As I understand in talking with the clerk today, that he hasn't really put a legal entity on that Bailey Energy yet. So that would be my suggestion for this motion, if you please.
Okay. So
Amend that
Alderman
motion.
Bud, you amend yours, and Alderman Bertle, you amend your
Yes.
second? Okay. Additional questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next motion was to accept the offer of $18,700 for a transmission easement agreement with Ameren Transmission Company of Illinois, with $15,000 to be deposited in the Lake Restoration Fund and $3,700 to be deposited into the general fund. Make that in form of motion.
Second.
Okay, second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment on this? Roll call, please.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next motion in the finance was a motion to send a bill and letter informing the property owner on East Ash Street that they have 30 days to pay the bill in full for the sewer repairs or be turned over to the collection agency. Make that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment?
Comment, Your Honor.
Alderman Voda.
Just for clarification, because we have discussed the sewer issues here pretty in-depth recently. This is a rental property with the owner living outside of the city of Taylorville, and has been reluctant to pay the associated costs with doing business on this property. That's why we are sending a letter and an invoice and then threatening to take to a collection agency. If it was somebody here in town, I think the city would more than be happy to work with that individual on trying to get the bill paid in a timely manner. That's correct. Thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle.
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
The next motion was to approve the transfer of $50,000 from the general fund to the water fund for repayment of the water loan that was made several years ago.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment? Roll call.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes.
Rob Heatherling?
Yes.
Ray Coontz?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Do we need to make motions on these next ones?
Well, we kind of set a precedent. We've been doing it here on the
Okay,
treasurer's
all right.
report.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Okay.
Make
Second
that
on
in form of
that.
motion.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? That motion passes.
On the American Tower agreement, we had several discussion on that, and we're going to table that till the February meeting. On,
We don't need to take any action. We don't have to vote that we table. Okay.
You don't even have to table it,
Okay. Just
Okay.
no action taken.
just no action taken.
on the, what we have on this next one, on the Ameren with Pana Taylorville electric line, we actually have that with this new minutes that we had tonight meeting. Do we want to do that now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to direct City Attorney Romano to negotiate proposal electric transmission line with Ameren if Ameren agrees to pay all city attorney fees and any cost associated with the negotiating and approval of the easement documents. Make that form of motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bertle. Discussion or comment? Roll call, please.
Earl Walters?
Yes.
Larry Bud?
Yes.
Sean Bertle?
Yes.
Bernie Dorchenez?
Yes.
Rob Heatherling?
Yes.
Ray Coontz?
Yes.
Martin Voda?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Mayor, if we could comment as to the reason why there was no action taken on the American Tower lease for those that were not at the committee meeting.
Sure.
The city has received a recommendation from the real estate broker for the American Towers as to what he would recommend to offer to the city by way of either an extended lease term with a higher lease payment or a purchase amount. We understood that he didn't have the authority to make that offer, so I think the prudent thing to do is wait until you have an offer on the table and then address it at that subsequent time, so.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. And then the next motion to approve the minutes of tonight's meeting, the January 20th finance meeting. Make that informed motion.
No, we want to wait.
That one, we'll go ahead and wait till they're completed,
Okay.
and we'll do that in next city council meeting.
Okay.
So that brings us to a motion to approve and ratify payment of bills in the amount of $126,246.67.
Make that informed motion, Your Honor.
Second.
What's on?
Second by Alderman Bertle. Go ahead, Alderman Bud.
Electric for all departments, $14,394.76. Telephone for all departments, $2,859.29. Fuel for all departments, $8,973.69. Garbage, $1,640. Big R, Ace, Urban, and Ron's, $1,273.92. Office supplies, $952.50. U.S. Postal, $1,000. Meyer, Austin, and Romano for OB and legal fees, $3,009. Sterling codifiers, $2,054. Audio Dimensions, this is sound system for the band, $1,500. Larry's Service Center, $3,538.90. PBI, $2,470. Patrick, 411 for police and fire, $1,404.35. Altorfer, $1,850.35. Phil Tullis, $12,173.10. Green and Bradford, $15,488.49. Police Department, uniform allowance, $2,271.09. Sewer Department, Bob Kinderman, sewer repair refund, $1,157.50. Street Department, paint and limestone, $1,122.31. Woody's Municipal Supply, this is for a 6-inch salt spreader auger, $1,226. Water Department, Real Tech, for a UV system, $6,556.50. Midwest Meter, $4,690. Chemicals, $15,045.33. W.W. Granger for surge protectors and supplies, $6,180.30. Lake Department for unique temporary help from 11/3 to 11/9, $968.40, and these total $113,799.78. I do have another comment with this, if it's okay.
Go ahead.
On the bills, there's a bill in here tonight, and I'm just saying this because I don't agree with what they're doing. Green and Bradford has a bill for the DCO improvement grant over on, we'll say Paw Paw area over there. and we've been denied this grant. I know they're resubmitting it, but he's still doing work on this, and we've been denied the grant, and I really have a problem with that. I'm not gonna ask that that bill be polled, but I'm just, I cautious about that, because if we don't get the grant, then we're spending money that we're not going to be able to get back. That's my opinion.
We will definitely double check that, but I don't believe that the understanding is when the resubmittal was on him, 100%. There's a third step, so whether that's got to do with the third step or not, I don't know, but we'll
I don't know,
verify
but
that.
it's,
The resubmission is on him.
Right. Alderman Heverly.
Wasn't there some grant money issued for the development of the plans for that, though?
Yeah, that was
And
the
is
first.
these
Yeah.
And aren't these expenditures paid for by that grant,
Some of it,
but not all of it?
but not all of
Do you have an idea of what portion, if I might?
I think
Yeah.
it was $150,000 the grant before,
So
the
it's,
design grant.
so it's possible that 14,000, which was tonight's bill, I think, would be paid for within that
I don't
150,000?
know, but I'll find out.
That's the way it was.
Right.
but it just seems to me like if we've been denied the grant, why we're still continuing to do work, why don't we hold up till we know we're gonna get the grant? Why spend these funds if you're going to be denied? I mean, yes, the design work will be there, so if you need it later, but we're still spending money on something that was denied, and I don't agree with that.
Well, and again, he was very upfront with that, telling us the steps he was going to do, and it's because they stair step on each other. You get approved for the other grants, but usually only if you've already got the other things moving in lockstep with it. And so that was the plan. I believe it was just a mistake on the submittal is why we got denied, and he doesn't think there's going to be any problem in getting that resubmitted into us. So.
I just want to say one other
Okay.
comment to that.
Okay.
This gentleman is being paid thousands of dollars, and he shouldn't be making these type of mistakes.
Quick question,
Number-
after the OV collection, we had a bill from Mr. Romano. The agreement we signed with the collection agency in town, and we sent all the OVs over there, are we getting a report on that to know if we're getting any return on that contract, or is that something I need to ask you, the clerk, or?
I think the report is supposed to go to the city clerk. I don't know if she's had one recently here, but the thought process was, I thought that was going to come on a monthly basis,
Okay,
some report, and maybe Pam can call Rick Bonister tomorrow
okay.
and ask him to update
I was
us.
just curious to see if we get any kind of return at all.
Right.
Alderman
Good
Dorchenez.
question.
Well, there was the motion that was made to retain Ted Bailey of Bailey Energy, the city engineer's broker, to authorize him to monitor, blah, blah, blah. I would just like to give Attorney Romano a pat on the back. I'm always impressed on how we try to do the best we can, but he always keeps us out of trouble when he recognizes those things, and I'm just impressed. I want to give him a pat on the back.
Thank you for that. You can cash my check now.
All right. Anyone else before we vote?
I just thought his job would be much easier if Mr. Dorchenez wasn't on the city council.
Roll call, please.
Larry Bud.
Yes.
Sean Bertle. Bernie Dorchenez.
Yes.
Rob Heatherly.
Yes.
Ray Coontz.
Yes.
Martin Voda.
Yes.
Earl Walters.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, per subparagraph G of 5 ILCS 120/2.06, this portion of the city council meeting is reserved for any person wishing to address the council on any relevant subject matters concerning the city. Would anyone like to address the council? Seeing no one out there, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Alderman Bertle, get a second. Second by Alderman Walters. Discussion or comment?
Just comment, Your Honor.
Alderman
Did we
Voda.
ever close the floor?
No, we didn't.
Do we need to do that before we adjourn, Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
Motion to close the
I would have
floor.
thought Alderman Dorchenez would have caught that.
You were the
And
one
you
who
brought it.
Okay.
Alderman Bertle, do you want to second the motion to
I'll
close the
second it,
floor?
Your Honor.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. Floor is closed. Now a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Alderman Voda? Alderman
Second.
Bertle, you want, Alderman Walters, okay. Any further discussion on closing the meeting? All those in favor? Aye.
That's yours.
Those against? Motion passes. Meeting adjourns. 7:36 PM.